Howdy on Willex Lives. I think it's time to play a little. Someone needs to die. Alright. Uh, Still gonna be working on this. I am not quite done with what I'm doing here. Um, Man, I've been. I don't know how. I have. I've. My last 2 days has been spent trying to wrap my head around this new Dune movie that just came out. I hmm, it's getting massively good reviews from fans of the original work. Um, and people who aren't familiar with Dune at all. Um, and I am I am perplexed. Don't get me wrong, it's a good movie. I don't have a problem with it being considered a good movie. It's not a thing at all. That's not what this is about. Um, my my problem to wrap my head around is the people who are claiming it's a far superior version to the 1984 version, as if the 1984 version is the worst thing ever made. And being quite familiar with some of the criticisms of the 1984 version of the Dune movie, I find it funny that there's some common things that people bring up when they talk about why they don't like the 1984 version of Dune. So Dune is from a book series, and um, obviously when you translate a book to a movie, things change. Obviously, I don't think there's a book to movie conversion that I've seen that hasn't changed some things. And so, I mean, you go in expecting it. There's just the amount of detail included in a book, and a lot of the inner monologues that take place with characters in a book um, are not able to be transferred, right, from one medium to another. And so, oh man, it's really close there. Just about got all my support beams put in place. Um, so it's expected that some things might not translate well, and um, other things are just gonna get left out because stones. I'm missing stones. Uh, I was like, I feel like there should be a lot more cement I can make, but I don't have stone again. I'm always out of stone. And so, anyways, oh, I fell. So I'm a big fan of the 1984 version. It's kooky, a little bit, but it's a lot of fun, in my opinion. And I'm not saying people can't say that this is the greatest movie ever made if that's what they feel. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion. Um, I like to understand why they think that way, and I am trying to wrap my head around the concept that this stripped down, bare bones version of Dune, while pretty, would be considered one of the greatest sci-fi epics of all time. Um, and I guess my real problem with that opinion is that the new movie rips out most of the actual story in favor of unrelated visuals, I guess. Not unrelated, um, but this movie feels like more of a picture book version of Dune than what I was hoping for with a new movie of Dune. So, spoilers. There's going to be spoilers. I know I already talked about Dune, but I'm going to talk about some more here. Uh, because I have spent the last 2 days, I watched the new movie twice and I read the book. I spent much of last night and today rereading the portions of the book that apply to the movie because the movie is only part of the first book, as well as rewatching the movie again. Um, because the complaints that the old movie doesn't match the book by the same people who are saying, like, this is a masterpiece, this is a true, you know, uh, screen version of Dune, and then I'm just like, this book does not follow what happens, or this movie does not follow a lot of what happens in the book, and changes much of the dialogue, and cuts out almost all of the political intrigue that I really enjoyed in the book. And I keep seeing like, but it shows you the scope of things. But I got the scope of things from the old movie. There were giant worms. They ate giant vehicles. There were giant spacecraft. What scope am I missing that this new film purports to show me? I don't understand. Uh, are there some cool scenes? Yeah, yeah. It's a good movie. It's got some great scenes, but it's light on story. And I don't understand the choice to remove elements of the plot that seem. I mean, to be fair, I have not seen part two because it's not even greenlit if there will be a part two. Um, at least as of when I'm recording. Uh, so this could be it. This could be as much as we get. And it's I know going in watching it that I remember the previous movie very well because I've seen it many times. I've read the book a few times, but I've definitely seen the movie, the 1984 Dune, more often than I have read the book. And so I wanted to go back and go through the book to make sure that I knew what I was talking about, I guess. And I discovered that the old movie is much more faithful to the book than the new movie, and but they do complain about some changes in the old movie, um, that I find it weird how little those parts have to do with what's going on, that they would be the thing that makes people go, this is the worst movie ever. Um, and I did see a list today of 3 of the weird things in the old Dune movie that people hate. Although, to be fair, one of those is in the new movie as well. Um, and the big one is, well, I guess not the big one, but the one that's in both movies that I don't see someone going, oh, I can't believe they put that in the new movie. It's the most awful thing. Because when they talk about the old movie, even before the announcement of this new Dune movie, I occasionally, you know, look up movies I like and see what people say about them. Uh, People were like, the weird superpower voice that they give people in the old movie is just the dumbest thing ever. Well, guess what? I haven't seen anyone say that about the new movie, and the new movie has it in the exact same way as the old movie, which leads me to believe that the writers and director, based part of their movie on the old movie. Um, because the book does not depict the voice in that manner. And so, if you've never seen Dune or read Dune, the voice is an ability by people to issue commands to other people that will force them to obey before they can think about it. And I believe the idea is that they have a kind of a religious organization called the Bene Gesserit, and I believe the concept is that they're so uh, I mean, it could be genetically enhanced to obey, but I believe it's just like a psychological imprint that has been placed on all the population. Kind of like, if you're driving down the road and a police car pulls up behind you with its lights flashing, here in the, United States anyways, you're usually, most people get nervous. Uh, and so I think it's something like that in the books. But to convey it in the old movie, they did this thing where they like layer different pitched voices on top of each other, and then the person can struggle against it, but often just obeys it without thinking. And so I know that is something that people have complained about the original 1984 movie many times, and then I saw people commenting about the new movie and how it was going to fix all the problems from the old movie. And one of the things a lot of people mentioned was they'll be glad not to see the voice again. And guess what? It's in the new movie in the almost exact same way. I say almost exact same way because there's a scene right toward the beginning where they ask the main character Paul to use the voice, and he issues his command, and no sound comes out of his mouth. I don't understand if it's just me, but it's just that one spot that this happens. Just one spot where they use the voice during the movie where this happens, and he demands that his mother pass him a glass of water, and no sound comes out of his mouth, but his lips move. and then the voice comes in with its multi-layered, multiple pitch, multiple voice command of, you know, pass me the water or whatever it was he said. So that's funny to me. That's funny that the voice made it back in because it didn't bother me. It just seemed like a way to not to have to try and explain something that is not really explained, at least in the first book. It might be explained later. There's 6 books or more, depending on how you look at it. Oh, my pickaxe is broken. And so then uh, I saw today there's a character in the books. His name is Thufir Hawat, and he gets poisoned with a poison that is permanent, and so you have to take the antidote, or else you die. And so the choice in the old movie was that he would be given this weird rat mouse combination, not rat mouse, cat rat combination that would produce the antidote for him, and he would have to care for it and milk it to get his antidote every day. Weird, yes. I don't know how they do it in the book because I didn't get that far in the book because I was only reading the parts that applied to the new movie, and the new movie. I don't know if the new movie will even have that part, to be honest, because of the choices made in this first film that make no sense to me. And then the third thing was uh, the voice, the Thufir Hawat thing. Uh, I know there was a third thing that I kept seeing come up. Oh, the rain at the end of the movie is the big one too, which again might not be in the first book, but does happen. And so I feel like that's a weird one to fixate on because they do make it rain in the books. They just don't. It just doesn't happen as soon as it does in the movie, and I I don't understand why that's a thing. Why that's such a big thing. Uh, I mean, they don't explain it in the movie, but I know in the books they detonate these caches of water at some point to make it rain. Or I think they detonate the caches of water. That's where the water comes from, and then it rains down. But I can't remember if Paul does that or if it's his son that does that. I mean, his son wipes out Arrakis almost completely, the desert part, and so. Uh, but we're not that far in the story yet. Um, but yeah, I don't get the choices made in this new film. It's a lot of the book is about the political fighting between the different groups in the empire, and almost none of that made it into the movie in a meaningful way. In fact, today, as I was watching it, I noticed that the first 20 minutes of the movie is not from the book at all. And I'm just like, you guys complaining that the old movie didn't follow the book, and then this new movie is just like nothing like the book for so much of it. And, um, but there's like this they talk about it, but they don't do anything with it. Is my problem. Like um So there's an emperor, and then he's got his ducal houses, uh, and he likes it, of course, when his ducal houses are fighting each other. Because if they're fighting each other, they don't work together, right? And so um, the um, oh right, I was gonna make some more farmland as well. Farm. I think I went in nitrate powder. I don't know that I need 23 of these, but let's go ahead and go with it. And so the they've got a group called the Landsrad where the how much lead do I have in here? I got a bunch. I need some bullet tips. And so that's made up of like their houses. And then there's the Chome organization, which is like the corporation that controls Arrakis, and so everybody has a little piece of it through their like stock, basically. And currently, the Emperor and his allies control almost 60% of the Chome. And so the main family, the Atreides, are very popular in the Landsrad, and so the Emperor fears their popularity. Uh, I believe he also fears the Harkonnen, which is the other major house in the story. The Harkonnen financial gains over the last, I think it's like 80 years from Arrakis. And so a lot of the book is taken up with this fight between the Atreides and the Harkonnen, and how the Emperor is involved in helping the Harkonnen, and spies and attacks back and forth, and um, the planting of false information, and stuff like that. And none of that pretty much is in the movie. The closest you get is this monologue by the Baron Harkonnen, where he flat out just states that Arrakis is a trap for the Atreides, that the Emperor is loaning them some of his elite soldiers, which is the thing he uses to keep the houses in order, and that they're going to wipe out the Atreides. Uh, and I'm just like, so no plotting, okay. And they don't. They cut out so much of it. There's uh, there's this whole I don't know. They cut out so much of the story. Uh, uh, One of the other things that is really missing, I feel, that the director said he will cover in part two, is the groups called the Mentats. They're not allowed to have computers because of an AI war, and so they can have computers. They can't have thinking machines, uh, and and so they have created a way to do calculations rapidly in your head like a computer. And so when they find someone who can do it, they are trained in the method of being a mentat. And it's like this school. There's three of them. There's the Bene Gesserit, who are pseudo religious and control Bloodlines, which is the major story. Okay. I was like, what's that noise? That's me punching. Is because Paul, the major story for Dune is that Paul is the Kwisatz Haderach, which is this thing where, I mean, there's just so much to Dune. Uh, the planet Arrakis has a substance on it called melange. Melange lets you live for a long time, and if you overdose on it, you have visions. And if you use even more of it, you can fold space with your mind. And so the three groups are the Mentats. I don't know if they're associated with spice, which is the common name for melange. Um, the Bene Gesserit use spice to have visions of the future, and then the Navigators Guild uses spice to allow them to fold space, teleporting spaceships from place to place. And so spice only comes from one planet, and none of the Empire could exist without it, because you can't get from place to place without the spice. Um, because you can't have the machines that are capable of doing what the navigators do while using spice. And so it's all super important, and there's this, big control fight between the Spacers Guild and the Emperor and the Bene Gesserit and Chom and the houses and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's like I need about 8 seeds, so I need about 40 potatoes. Do I have 40 potatoes? Oh, I have 121 potatoes. And I just feel like a lot of that back and forth is just missing from this new film. And it boils it down to Atreides go to Arrakis, Atreides are attacked on Arrakis, Paul goes in the desert. And the changes made to the characters. Paul's pretty close to what he is in the book. His mother is quite a bit different from the book or um, from the original, or I call it the original, the 1984 movie, because the Bene Gesserit are trained in um, like absolute control over their bodies, and um, like to the point where they can choose when they get pregnant and what the sex of the child will be. So like serious control over their bodies. And I was going to make seeds, but I don't know how many I need. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like 5 more. And the new movie, I mean, yeah, she does that stuff, but she also like spends the whole movie just constantly crying and wringing her hands and stuff when she's supposed to be uh, this completely control of emotions and all that. And it was weird. It was weird that she acted like that through most of the movie, to me, anyways. And like there's a character in the books called Kynes. Kynes is also in the movie. it doesn't matter that they changed Kynes from a man to a woman. It doesn't matter to the story. I don't have a problem when they do that. As long as it's not a focal point of the character, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't. And uh, the issue is that in the books, the fact that Kynes is Liet Kynes is a big deal because Liet is a leader of the Fremen, who is the native population. I say native, but nobody's native to Arrakis. Um, and but Kynes is also the imperial planetologist and the officer in charge of the changeover from the Harkonnen to the Atreides. And so um, Kynes is a pretty big deal in the books up until the end of the first part, or the second part, I guess. So it's weird to me that they just introduced her as Liet Kynes in the new movie, and none of her leadership stuff really matters. Like it plays out slightly at the end of the movie, where they're like, "Why are they, why are they acting like you're in charge?" But nothing before that matters. Where in the book it kind of does. Um, and I wonder if my bullets got done. Well, you know what? Somewhere my cement got done. Maybe I can get some more of this. Ooh, it's nighttime. Spooky time. Come on, dude. We need to get over here and uh and so I don't know. It's amazing to me all the stuff that gets. One of the characters in the book is a troubadour warrior. That's what they call him in the book. He sings and he's light in tone, but also like this ultimate soldier for the Atreides at the same time, and they just strip half of that completely away. He's just ultimate soldier who occasionally quotes poetry, but he always looks angry. In fact, they make a point of it in the movie where the Emperor goes, "Smile, Gurney," and he's like, "I am," but he's just sitting there looking mad. And he's not like that in the book at all. So he's a completely different character in the new movie. Um, uh, Thufir Hawat has like almost nothing to do with the film, and he's such an integral part to the whole plotting and back and forth, and so all of that's just gone. Um, Piter DeVree, I think is his name, Piter, who I read doesn't even get named during the the movie, has almost no part in the movie, and he has a much bigger part in the books. Um, and in fact, the Baron kills somebody in the movie when it's Piter that does it in the book. Um, and then Piter gets chastised for it because the Baron wasn't quite finished with what he was doing. Um, the Baron in the new movie is completely different than in the book. In fact, I don't even know what the point of him is in the movie. He's basically just like the change to Gurney. In the books, he's this crazy sadist, rapist guy and pedophile and just insane. Uh, while I mean, he's not insane, but he's evil. He's clearly a bad dude. And in the movie, uh, he almost doesn't have a personality and just tells people things in the most droning manner possible. And I'm just like, okay, maybe I don't remember what these people are supposed to be like from the book, and I only know the really crazy version from the 1984 movie. But you know what turns out? The crazy version of the 1984 movie is closer than the new movie to the Baron. And uh, one of the characters, Fade Rotha, didn't even make it in the new film, and he is pretty major in the previous movie, but because he's he's in a couple of scenes in the book, so I'm not shocked that they don't include him. Um, I was surprised the Emperor didn't make it in the film. Princess Irulan didn't make it into the film. Um, uh, Clearly they'll be in the next part, so maybe it was just a casting thing. They thought they could save money, I guess, by not casting characters who are going to be in the next part and only had small parts in this first part, so they didn't get included. But it lost a lot of the political back and forth. Why are my lights not on? Am I out of gas? My blades aren't turning either. Must be out of gas in my front set. Let me get some gas. What else did I find weird? Nope, it's batteries. I need... Nope, that's the wrong generator. This is the generator I need to refuel. There we go. Now I've got some light going on up here. I should have realized I got no light. Did you get those bullets done? Yeah. Okay. How much brass do I got? I probably should have done the casings. Because I think I've only got a few casings in here. I just saw I have all this gunpowder, and I should probably make some more 7.62 rounds. Since I do have tons of gunpowder. But yeah, it's weird, some of the changes they made. I feel like they left out a lot of, like, the word Mentat not mentioned in the movie at all. And it's such an important thing. In fact, Paul is special in the books, not just because he's the Kwisatz Haderach, which is this thing that the Bene Gesserit were trying to breed. They kind of control. They don't control directly, but they I mean, they do directly control, but not like, here's a list of people, this is the person you're allowed to have children with, kind of thing. But more, this is our acolyte, we're going to send her to get pregnant from this guy, and then their child will be set up to be, another daughter who will also be a Bene Gesserit, who will then be sent to have a child with this other family, kind of thing. So yes, in a way, but not for common folk usually. Um, but their goal is, with enough spice they can see the future, but only the female side of the future. And so they want to make a male Bene Gesserit who can see Gesserit, Bene Gesserit, Gesserit. Sorry, it's very Catholic sounding to me, so it gets mixed up in my head. So Paul was not supposed to be the Kwisatz Haderach. Paul's mother was supposed to have a daughter, and then a descendant of that daughter would be the Kwisatz Haderach. But she loved the Duke, so she gave him a son, which is mentioned but doesn't really play out well in the movie. And so the trick is that Paul is not what they thought they were getting, and Paul is a bit on the crazy side. And on top of that, they've been training him in all the different schools. So he has training in the Bene Gesserit ways. He has training in the Mentat ways. He has training in. Um, Eventually, he awakens some of his guild navigator powers, and so he has all the powers because of the crossing of all the bloodlines. And oh, I got that. I thought I still had a little bit more to go, but no. All right. Well, I seem to have gotten my pillars in place then. Uh, so maybe with them all turned to cement now, things won't just randomly collapse down on me and ruin parts of my garden up above. That's my hope, anyways. But yeah, it was a pretty good movie. It leaves out so much from the book that I don't understand why everybody is saying it's the best version. It's the best movie adaptation of the book, when the older movie is more accurate to the concepts and dialogues that take place. I will say the old movie is a little campy, a lot campy. Um, it is a very 80s movie, and it does rely way too heavily on voiceover because the book has a lot of in their head moments, and so they opted to do voiceovers for the in their head moments. And so everybody's always having a voiceover about what's going on. I think I need more pumpkins. I need more of this as well. But yeah, it's good, but it's not exactly like the book, and I felt like they should have put a little more effort into bringing the actual fight together. Um, I'm also disappointed with the fighting that takes place. The small combat scenes are good, but they don't have any large combat scenes, really. And every time they keep showing all these large parade grounds full of soldiers, and they're like, these are the Atreides battalions, and these are the Harkonnen battalions, and these are the Sardaukar battalions. And then when it gets right down to it, they never show the battalions fighting each other. They just show small groups here and there fighting each other. Oh, that was another thing that's way different in the new movie than in the book. In the book, they hide the Sardaukar, which are the Emperor's elite troops, as Harkonnen soldiers. And in the new movie, they don't. They just come in as their Sardaukar selves. And I don't remember them being in. I mean, I remember the Sardaukar being in the 1984 movie, but I don't remember the whole Sardaukar pretending to be Harkonnen either. Um, uh, and yeah, uh, but the changes where they just stripped out like the the I don't know, the characteristics of the characters, and left them as like these shells of what they were, and then just told like the bare bones version of Dune basically, while having just these big CGI backdrops for it all. It's just weird to me. I also find it funny, and this is the last thing. I also find it funny that the new worms, because that's what Dune is pretty famous for, is its giant sandworms. The new worms look like battery brushes to me, and I'm not sure how you can get a tooth out of one of them, let alone how it moves through the sand with its mouth open like that. Um, it does look like they close down, but they never show one closed all the way. And the old worms had like the tri-jaw lip thing that closes down into a point, which made a little more sense as to how it could get through the sand. But the new ones, man, I don't know. It seems way too blunt to be swimming through sand. Uh, all right. Well, with that, be running the small things, lean to the light, and I will talk to you later.